Hey, hi. Must be doing fine. Nice to see you. So in the last part, we were talking about digestive system. I have told you already that we are going to discuss about digestive glands here in this part. So let's start. But further, we are going to discuss few more things. For that, I have to share my screen and start teaching you. Okay, so you see this presentation. Let me put it on the full screen. My system has, probably I'm using the old version. So my system do not have any problem. Okay, so basically, that's what we are going to cover in this part. We will be talking about the digestive glands, and then we'll be learning about the respiration, breathing and respiration. And because the first, like what do we say? The first life process is digestion, nutrition, that we have learned in plants and animals. And now we will be talking about respiration. And same here, we will be learning that in plants and in animals. Okay, so let's start it. The first thing is the digestive glands. See, first of all, let me tell you what is a gland. Even I don't have to tell you this, but you should know that gland is the one that used to have the secretory function. It is always secreting something. Either it will be secreting some chemicals, some hormones, some enzymes, some biomolecule, minerals, whatsoever. It used to have secretory function. Please remember that. Now talking about the digestive glands, I am telling you the digestion happen with the help of enzymes. Hormones also act in that way. They control digestive system. Enzymes, a hell lot of enzymes are there. They work under control. They are secreted by certain things. Now, the first digestive gland is liver. Liver is the largest gland of the body. This is the largest gland. It secretes like 500 to 1 liter actually, 500 to 1000 ml or 1 liter of bile per day. Bile per day. You know, bile, it always helps in fat digestion. Fat is not easily digested in our body. Fat is absorbed by the lacteals, I told you, but actual digestion, there it is absorbed, but actual digestion happen with the help of the bile acid. Bile acid used to react with the fat molecule. They show a reaction which is known as emulsification. Emulsification means when large fat globule, large fat molecule, they're converted into small molecules which can easily be absorbed. That process happened with the help of bile acid, which used to have bile salt in it. Fair enough? So now, talking further, liver used to have two lobes, left and right. They secrete bile, which is secreted by the gallbladder. As you can mention that there is a cystic duct arranged with it. Then it meets pancreatic duct. Further, they take entry into the duodenum. That's it. This is the one that you should remember. The most important thing which is present in it is bile salt. Yeah. So that's the first gland. Now let's talk about the next one. The next one is the salivary gland. As you see the picture, I'm telling you this for the second time. So I do not think any more explanation is needed, but this one is salivary gland. So there are not three, but three pairs of salivary gland is present. Sublingual, submandibular. I told you that this is known as submaxillary as well. I don't have to write it. And here parotid. Parotid. They are the one which, you know, secrete all the saliva in the mouth. Now talking about the saliva, of nearby 500 ml of saliva is produced per meal. And in a day, it can be nearby 1200 to 1500 ml of saliva per day. And I do not have to tell you this again, that saliva, it consists of number of digesting enzyme, for example, lysozyme. Then there are salivary amylase. And there can be other certain like water and buffer. Minerals and all. And not a lot of them, minerals, a little amount of it. So these are the digestive saliva, which helps in the food degradation, because in the mouth itself, food degradation starts. Now the next one. And the next one is this one. How beautiful diagram it is, na? You don't have to be scared. It's okay. You don't have to draw it in your paper. But I have uploaded this diagram so that you can have a clear look to everything. Guys, this is a pancreas. You see, this is the duodenum. From here, the cystic duct a common bile duct. This one is a common bile duct that is coming toward the duodenum, and here digestive enzymes are getting secreted, and this is the pancreas. So this is pancreatic hormone into insulin and glucagon that obviously helps in controlling glucose level in the body, that I'm going to discuss in control and coordination chapter, or probably whoever will be taking it. Okay, so into the pancreas there are certain group of cell. Guys, you must have heard about pancreatic islets. This pancreatic islets, first of all, let me tell you, this is the pancreas. It is endocrine and exocrine both gland. It is a mixed gland. You have learned that in 8th class also, reaching the age of adolescence. It is a mixed gland. Certain part is endocrine, certain is exocrine. So this is the endocrine part. And the rest of the part that you see, the acinar cells they have written this is the exocrine part. So exocrine part is the one that secretes digestive enzyme. And the cells which produce it, they are known as acinar cells. They used to secrete number of enzymes. So rest they have mentioned gall bile duct and these things. I have explained you these things earlier. So this is the most important thing that acinar cell is secreting. So pancreas, this is the second largest gland of the body. And it used to secrete pancreatic juice where number of enzymes are present. Digestive enzyme, protein digesting enzyme. Guys, I have a list of enzymes. I'll show you just one slide after this. That enzyme you have to learn. So this is secreting pancreatic protein digesting enzyme, lipid digesting enzyme. So these are being secreted. Hold on for a second. That's better. Okay, it's just zero. It's what do we say? I'm not able to get the word. Glasses without just controlling the light. Nothing. Leave it. Okay, so basically, what do we say? This is releasing enzyme, and this is the ductless one. Here, duct and ductless both are there, but the point is that enzymes are being released, and this is known as pancreatic juice. So pancreatic juice, bile duct from the liver, they all are secreted together into the duodenum. That is a digestive enzyme. एक और चीज याद रखो. Into the bile acid, if I talk about bile acid, used to be little bile acid here, but little pH is more. It has neutralizing factor because from the stomach HCl was there, so pH is really very low. So immediately when from the pyloric sphincter food is taking entry into the duodenum, its pH has to be maintained. So bile acid and pancreatic, they all together maintain the pH also. They neutralize the pH. That function actually you can write. Okay, so this is about the pancreas. I suppose that's clear to you. Now the next one. Next one is the last one. So this diagram actually you will not be able to understand, but let me tell you, this is gastric gland. Gastric gland means the glands which are present in the stomach. Gland means something again which is secreting. So into the stomach there are different types of cells which are releasing different product, and they are making the gastric juice. So secretion of them is known as gastric juice. Guys, this is really important. If you in future are going to appear for the NEET exam, if you take bio, or you're going to appear for the NTSC, this question is really very important. First of all, this is, I have told you that into the stomach there are foldings. So the foldings are kind of gastric pit. Holding a pit as a little cavity kind of. And here into the pit, different kind of cells are present. Surface mucous cell secretes mucus. On the surface mucous cells. Then there are mucous neck cell, which is inside in the neck, which secretes mucus again. Then there are parietal cell, which is deep inside. This parietal cell, this is important. This secretes HCl and intrinsic factor. This is a protein. Then chief cells, which is deep inside. This chief cell, this is secreting pepsinogen and gastric lipase. This is protein digesting enzyme, and lipase is lipid or fat digesting enzyme. Then G cell is there, which is totally in the deep. This is the one that secretes the hormone gastrin. Really important one. Remember it, take a look, note it down. You want to note it down? Just note it down. I am done with all the glands of the digestive system. Now I have to show you all the enzymes which are helping in the digestion. So this is the list of enzyme, guys, that you see. There are different kind of enzyme. Guys, if a question come in your paper where you have to just talk about how digestion happens, I have told you this in the last part also, that if you have to write how digestion happen, you have to just write it in the sequence. And keep on mentioning about the enzyme. That food is taking entry inside. There is saliva. Saliva is produced in this amount. It has saliva digesting enzyme. This is, then you write the enzyme, what reaction it is doing. You don't have to remember the pH level. You have to remember site of release and produce that. So carbohydrate digestion happens. Salivary amylase, pancreatic amylase, and maltase. Maltase is in the small intestine. Actually, you can explain small intestine as a gland also. Succus entericus, that it has maltase which secretes, which maltase is a type of carbohydrate, maltose. So it acts upon the maltose. It acts upon the maltose, and further it formed two galactose unit, two glucose unit. Hold on. Acha, sorry, glucose and galactose. Two nahi, matlab total two, as in one glucose and one galactose. Actually, maltose is made up of two units of carbohydrate. One is glucose and one is galactose. Why even I forgot this? Okay. Protein digestion, it used to happen with the help of pepsin, trypsin, and peptidases. So pepsin is in the gastric gland, as in stomach, here pancreas, and peptidases is in small intestine. So peptidases actually act upon the peptide. Peptide, I have told you earlier also that peptide is a simple protein with less molecular weight. So this peptidase will act upon the peptide, as in simple protein, and convert it into amino acid. एक चीज याद रखना, remember one thing, into the stomach, into the mouth, if digestion happen, complete digestion doesn't happen, partial. But in intestine, complete digestion happen. Protein will be converted into amino acid because they're made up of amino acid. The carbohydrates are made up of monosaccharides. Carbohydrate is a chain of monosaccharide. They are converted into the simplest monosaccharide. A fat is converted into fatty acid. Simplest unka jo structure hoga na, they will be ultimately degraded up. So nuclease act upon the nucleic acid. DNA and RNA both are nucleic acid. So nuclease act upon the nucleic acid. It is in the pancreas. It converts DNA or nucleic acid or RNA into nucleotides. Actually, DNA, RNA are made up of nucleotides, so it break it up. And nucleosidases act upon the nucleosides. जैसे nucleotide होता है ना, DNA, RNA are made up of nucleotide. There is a nucleoside also, which is almost same structure. You will get to know the difference once you will be learning the genetic heredity chapter. But point is that nucleosidases is a part of, you may say DNA, RNA, but a little part, not the complete one. You may say nucleotide is a better version or bigger version of nucleoside. Nucleoside itself make the nucleotide simply. So it act upon the nucleosides. Fat digestion, lipase, pancreas. Now do not think that I don't know nucleosidases. I know each and everything about it, but I'm thinking how to tell you. For that, for now, you just remember that nucleosidases is the simple version of nucleotide. Okay. Lipases is secreted by the pancreas. If you remember all these enzyme name, where they are present, what they are doing, you will be able to write each and every process of digestion. I guarantee you will get good marks. With this, we are completely done with the digestive system and how digestion happens. Now, the next thing that we have to talk about is respiration. We will be learning about respiration. Obviously, first we have to learn it in the plant, and then we'll be talking about it animals. So here, the first thing is, let's understand what is respiration. Okay. So basically, I tell you a story, what happened. We used to say that breathing and digestion, nutrition, they both are really very important, right? And this is a cell. This is a cell. You will get to know what I'm drawing. We used to say that we need energy. Energy is the part to do work. That is what you have learned in the physics chapter. If we talk about in bio, energy is ATP, adenosine triphosphate. This is the biochemical ATP. Whenever any work has to be done, this ATP molecule will be breaking up. It will be splitting up. And then after splitting, it will be providing us energy, because when bones are broken, then energy is released. So ultimately, whenever we eat, it helps in making energy. How that is found? From the breathing, oxygen take entry into the body. We exhale CO2 and we take oxygen in. When we take oxygen in into the lungs through the blood, it will be going to each and every cell of the body. Now, when we eat the food, into the intestine, nutrients are absorbed, but ultimately this is the glucose, the ultimate carbohydrate, that takes entry into the blood, which is ultimately source of energy. Through the blood, this glucose is going to come in each and every cell of the body. So ultimately, oxygen and glucose molecule has taken entry. In the cell, they will go inside the mitochondria. This is a mitochondria that I've drawn. Into the mitochondria, glucose and oxygen will react. They show a reaction, which is actually cellular respiration. So basically, into the mitochondria, glucose and oxygen are going to react, and they are going to form ATP, energy, H2O molecule, and certain CO2 as a waste product. This CO2 we take out, cells take out, and that's what we breathe out. Oxygen go into each and every cell of the body. Into that, it react with glucose molecule. Yeah, that's a fast process. React with glucose, they form ATP. That's what we are using. My hand is using to do the work. Now, guys, only exchange at the external level. Exchange of gases is known as breathing. Exchange of gases using the respiratory organ, this is known as breathing. And the production of energy when glucose react with CO2, this is cellular respiration, which happen at the cell level. So breathing and respiration, they both are important. From the breathing, oxygen come. From the respiration, glucose come. That is what I'm explaining you in human. In plant also same story happens. Plant में photosynthesis होता है. Photosynthesis happen in the plant, but along with that, they also need oxygen because they make ATP out of it. Plant also need oxygen. So stomata say not only CO2 is taking entry inside, but oxygen is also. They show respiration. Is that clear now? Things are making sense? Now, guys, I hope you know the difference between breathing and respiration. Breathing is just on the surface, respiration at the cellular level. So on the next screen, the reaction is written. This is actually a cellular respiration. So cellular respiration, this is defined as where there is a breaking down of glucose molecule into energy, carbon dioxide and water. So this is the energy can be used for any work inside our body. Now, guys, if a question comes in the difference between breathing and respiration, I suppose you can clearly write it. Now let's move further. Acha, if a question comes as in the difference now, you can add few more points. I'm writing it on the breathing side. You may say breathing is a physical process. And this is cellular respiration. It is a chemical process. It is a chemical process. Okay. Next, you can say breathing. This is a voluntary action. Respiration, it is involuntary. Breathing, it is voluntary action. It's not up to a level. After that, obviously, it'll become involuntary. But yeah, up to next one. Cellular respiration. This is involuntary. So I suppose now you can clearly write it. The next thing that we have to understand is type of respiration. So guys, respiration, this is mainly of two types, aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration happen in the presence of oxygen and anaerobic in the absence. One thing that you have to understand, whenever there is aerobic respiration, whenever there is usage of oxygen, there is complete oxidation. There is complete oxidation. It will be like complete reaction. But when there is anaerobic, why this picture is added here? Okay, I'll explain this picture to you. This belongs to the aerobic one. I have written anaerobic here. I take my words back. I was explaining aerobic because in my mind aerobic comes first. It's anaerobic. So into the, I just take my words back. I was telling everything correct, but the sequence of the presentation is not. Into the aerobic respiration, oxygen is needed, but heading is anaerobic. So into the oxygen, oxygen is not needed. Here, oxygen is not needed. And when oxygen is not there, incomplete oxidation happens. We call it as partial oxidation. Into the aerobic, oxygen is there and there is complete oxidation. I repeat myself, I thought it's aerobic written. That's why in my mind I was explaining. But this is anaerobic, so I'm just writing it again. So into the anaerobic respiration, oxygen is not there. Now you might be thinking, if there is no oxygen, then why even if incomplete oxidation? Oxidation definition is not always involved with oxygen. Hydrogen ion concept, electron concept is also there. You have learned that in chemistry. So it's that thing. Okay. Okay, so into the anaerobic respiration here, one more thing that you have to remember, here only 2 ATP molecules are found. Actually, into the aerobic respiration, here complete oxidation happened. There, that's the reason that so many of the ATP, you see 36 or either you may say 38 ATP, both are correct, molecules are clear. And here, because incomplete oxidation happened, only 2 ATP molecules are found. Now, let me give you one example. Anaerobic respiration, this is shown by number of bacteria and number of other organisms. For example, there is a yeast. Some example is Saccharomyces cerevisiae is there. That's a type of yeast. Is not an organism, it's a category. Saccharomyces cerevisiae is a type of yeast. It is a baker's yeast. It's used in baking products. Anyways, this yeast, it used to show anaerobic respiration. If you remember, there is a process which is known as fermentation. Fermentation is actually anaerobic respiration itself. This is done with the help of yeast, where it is used in making alcohol products. You remember? This is an example. Now there is one more example. See, anaerobic respiration means when glucose is getting burnt, but oxygen is not being utilized. So less ATP are formed. Yeast is one example. There is one more example in our body. Like suppose you're doing so much of the physical exercise, you're getting exhausted, your body is having less oxygen. Then muscle cell, they anyhow need ATP to work because we have to do certain physical activity. So then this muscle starts showing anaerobic respiration. In that case, muscle show anaerobic respiration and then they form a waste product. Or you may say the product of the reaction, that we call it as lactic acid. So pungent smell is there while you do a lot of physical exercise, but lactic acid, it is the one that causes muscle cramps. I suppose that's clear to you. And yeah, that's it for the anaerobic respiration. I would like to add one more thing though, but understand this now. Aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration में oxygen is involved, complete oxidation happens, 36, 38 ATP are formed. Respiration always happen in certain steps. I have told you respiration means into the mitochondria, glucose and oxygen are reacting. But there is a step of reaction. Like suppose this is a cell. First of all, glucose has taken entry into the cell. Into the cell, this glucose molecule is going to be broken down. That process is known as glycolysis. It happens in the cytoplasm. After glycolysis, then it go toward the mitochondria. Then this broken molecule further joins the process and form ATP. There also it does certain process. So first of all, into the, see, glycolysis, this is a cell. Imagine this whole structure is the cell. So here glycolysis is happening. Glucose is breaking down by glycolysis. The product name they have written that this is pyruvic acid. This pyruvic acid will further go into the mitochondria. There it will show one more reaction, one more cycle, which is Krebs cycle. So here 2 ATP are formed, and into the Krebs cycle also CO2 is the waste product that is formed, and here also more 36 ATP are formed. So total is 38. Now you might be thinking electron transport chain system. Guys, electron transport chain system, if you remember, I told you in photosynthesis also, into the chloroplast also that happen, into the mitochondria that happens. Electron transport system, wherever you listen the word, it means they are using NADP and they are forming ATP. Here also there is a story of NADP and they are forming ATP. I explain you this story again. If you're not able to understand what I'm telling, I need a blank space. I don't have it. Do I have it? Okay. Let me just take the exit from the presentation. I'll add a blank slide and then I'll explain you this process again. Okay. Shanti. Okay, I have the blank slide. Now let me tell you. What happen is, doesn't matter if it is an anaerobic reaction or aerobic, glycolysis will always happen. Suppose this is a cell surface and here glucose is taking entry. This glucose has come inside the cell. Here it will show glycolysis. Glycolysis. So glycolysis means breaking up. The glucose is breaking up. So glucose into the glycolysis, glucose it break up to form the pyruvic acid. This is happening in the cytoplasm. Doesn't matter it is aerobic reaction or anaerobic reaction. In both cases, it will happen. Clear? Then, if it is aerobic reaction, like suppose now this is mitochondria, this pyruvic acid, it will take entry inside the mitochondria. Here it will show Krebs cycle. Into the Krebs cycle, further ATPs are formed. Into the glycolysis, further ATPs are formed. And here one more reaction is there, which is electron transport chain. Electron transport chain is not a cycle. Electron transport chain is an additional chain that is happening because of the electron, but it is also forming ATP. Here NADP molecule are there. NADP molecule is something which will be moving here, here and there. It will be striking up to the glycolysis, it will be striking up to the Krebs cycle, come back to the electron transport chain, forms the ATP. This is an additional chain. But here and here, total 36 or 38 ATPs. Both values are correct. Into the anaerobic reaction, into the cytoplasm, this will happen and pyruvic acid further react. And that story also happened in the mitochondria itself. Sorry, in the cytoplasm itself. It doesn't enter in mitochondria. I repeat, it doesn't enter in mitochondria. So further what happened here, there will be absence of oxygen and further it will be forming product. Imagine if it is a muscle cell. Imagine I'm talking about the muscle cell. So into the muscle cell, it will be forming lactic acid plus energy, 2 ATP. Lactic acid is a 3C substance. 3 carbon होते हैं. It consists of 3 carbon. Glucose has 6 carbon, if you know. Pyruvic acid also have 3 carbon. So like 6 carbon is breaking up to it will form 2 pyruvic. 3 carbon है ना इसलिए. That's the reason that. Anyways, that's another story. So if it is happening in the yeast, imagine I'm talking about the yeast. There it will be forming ethanol and CO2. That's a basic reaction that is there in the cellular respiration. In aerobic and anaerobic. In anaerobic, all story happen in the cytoplasm. In aerobic, mitochondria comes into the play and here proper cycles happen and then more and more ATP are formed. Talking about ATP, ATP is a nucleotide. DNA में भी ATP होता है. DNA also consists of ATP. There are so many ATP, GTP, CTP. If you don't know, I'll teach you that in heredity chapter. But there are so many of the nucleotides. ATP is a type of nucleotide. It is an energy currency of the body. Adenosine triphosphate. It has 3 phosphate attached with adenine. If you have anyhow heard adenine in your life with 3 phosphate group. Now talking further. This is a basic respiration, aerobic and anaerobic. Now there is a thing that we have to learn respiration in plants and in animals. So the first thing that we will be learning is about respiration in plants. So let's start that. So the first thing is respiration in plant. Into the see, first of all, basic idea is in any of the respiration process. Pehli baat to first thing is I should not use the word respiration. It should be exchange of gases. Because cellular respiration is one thing which happen in the cell. Exchange of gases is another thing which happen on the surface. Exchange of gases always and always used to happen because of the diffusion. Diffusion means when molecules move from high to low concentration. If I am breathing, internally in my alveoli diffusion is happening. So anywhere if exchange into the plant also diffusion happen. So if I talk about how this exchange of gases happen in the root, it used to happen into the root hair. This is the main root, or this is the main root and this is root hair. So root hair, it will be in contact with the soil particle which has air spaces in it, and here happen exchange of gases. For now, I should not use the word, no, I can use the word exchange of gases, because on the basis of the concentration, externally there is more oxygen, internally less, will be moving inside. And then carbon dioxide will be more out inside because of the cellular respiration product, it will go outside. So that exchange happened from the root here. And the process involved is again diffusion, just remember that. Clear? Eh? Oxygen and CO2 move by diffusion. Now the next part where respiration happen in the plant is the stem. Into the stem, guys, you must have seen these structure. These structure are known as lenticels. This is called as lenticular or lenticular respiration. Here, exchange of gases normally used to happen through these pores. These are little pore-like structure present, and here normally CO2 get out and oxygen take entry, and that also happen with the help of diffusion. Now, talking about how respiration happen in the leaf, I don't have to explain anything about it. That there are stomata present on the leaf, and there CO2 and oxygen take out and CO2 move in. Sorry. Into the photosynthesis, CO2 move in and O2 take out, but into the respiration, CO2 take entry, exit, and oxygen go inside. I told you, in plant photosynthesis and respiration both happen. Into the respiration, oxygen will be moving in and CO2 will be moving out. A plant also take oxygen. We used to say plant breathe at night. No, it needs oxygen all the time. So that's how happen. Into the stomata, there are guard cells. Then it can just open and close and exchange happen. And for that also, here also you can write the diffusion process happen. Clear? So guys, one more thing about the stomata, you can say that stomata is mainly present on the lower surface of the leaf and least on the upper surface. And stomata design is in different types, and stomata number is also of different type that depend upon the type of plant. So I suppose that's respiration in plant, and I suppose this thing is really very clear to you. Let's move forward and let's talk about respiration in animals. Human respiration, I don't know whether we will be able to cover it up today or not, but we have a next lecture on that. Totally fine, because we have to cover respiration in animals first. There are a number of creatures. I don't know whether you have learned it in a good way or not, in a better way. Diversity chapter May in the last class, in 9th class, diversity in living organisms. Into that we have learned how different categories, different phylum they respire. They show exchange of gases. So exchange of gases and respiration, so obviously it's common in all cellular respiration. But externally, how how breathing or exchange of gases happen. So first category is this. This example is frog or any organism which have, you may say mainly amphibians, like toad. So what point I was telling that this is respiration which used to happen through skin, and this is known as cutaneous respiration. Talking about frog, they have dual life. They show number of respiration. They have little lungs also. They have gills also while they are tadpoles. They have different way, but skin is also always there. They have different way of respiration together. This is known as cutaneous respiration. Cutaneous respiration. Cutaneous means through skin. One thing, guys, I don't know whether you know it or not, but all the amphibians which show cutaneous respiration, their skin is very slimy. They're very slimy and soft skin. Do you know the reason? This question can come if you have the doubt. They show cutaneous respiration. Reason being, if there is a slimy layer, there will be easily diffusion of gases. Slimy layer cause easy diffusion of gases because it interrupt the molecule. Now, through the skin, normally below the skin, देखो. Remember one thing, guys. If a question come in your paper, what are the basic properties of the respiratory organs? There are always few basic property. I'm going to explain you while I talk about the human also. But every respiratory organ will have lot of blood vessels nearby it, because oxygen ultimately have to go into the blood vessels. So your lungs are also having so many of the blood vessels connected to it. In a fish, if I talk, gills are also having. So below skin also there are blood vessels. So oxygen immediately taken up by the blood vessel. They can even respire through the mouth. This is known as brachial respiration. Pharyngeal, sorry, it's not brachial. Buccopharyngeal. Bucco means buccal cavity. Pharyngeal means pharynx. So buccopharyngeal respiration is through the mouth respiration. That when they take mouth out and then they respire. Into the frog I'm talking about. But cutaneous respiration is through skin, where slimy layer is there, through which easy diffusion happen. And below the skin, there are so many of the blood vessels through which exchange happen. Now, what should be the property of the respiratory organ? One property I have told you, they're always having a lot of blood vessels. Rest property I'll talk once I start talking about the human respiratory system. But you can, this is applied to all the creatures in animals. Okay. I should have mentioned it earlier. I should have added blank slide, but that's fine. It'll be covered up, don't worry. So that's respiration through the skin. And I suppose that's clear to you. Now let's move forward. देखती हूँ अभी बता देती हूँ. I think I should tell you the basic respiratory structure thing. Okay, I'll just add it. I'll tell it in the today's lecture only. Respiration in fishes. First of all, we know that fishes used to have gills. You know, there are two type of fishes. One which used to have the operculum and one which do not have the. You've learned that in diversity chapter, didn't you? So the gills covering on the fish is known as operculum, and there are gill slit internally. Mainly 5 pairs of gill pouches. It can be more than that in different fishes, but on an average, there are 5 pouches which are present. And there are gill lamellae. If you see, this is a gill arch. These are the gill filament, pouches or filament, you may say. And further, if we open up the structure, we see ultimately there is a lamella. This is a part of the gill. So there are gill filament, and further there are gill lamellae. This lamellae is the one which is ultimately in contact with so many of the blood vessels. There is a single circulation in fishes, if you do remember. Means only one time blood will be moving. In human case, there is a double circulation. It moves 2 times in the heart, but in them, there's single circulation. It just take entry, exit, that's it. So here oxygen, poor blood is taking entry. Why they have shown arrow like this? Arrow should be this way. Anyways, oxygen poor blood is taking entry, and then into the lamella water is present. They are absorbing oxygen from the water by diffusion. And then here oxygen rich blood will go there in the body. That's it. So this is again the partial pressure, that the oxygen partial pressure or amount is more in the water, but then it take entry into the blood. So there is a differential oxygen amount into the blood vessel and into the lamellae. So from the lamellae, CO2 go there, and from the blood vessel, oxygen go into the lamellae. Like that it happens. So into the blood vessel. So anyways, I suppose that's clear to you how oxygen is taking entry from here to here, and how CO2 is taking entry into the lamellae on the basis of diffusion. That's it. It'll be in the blood moving up. Clear? That's what it happened in the fishes. Now, guys, moving further. Moving further, respiration into the grasshopper as an insect. Or you may say arthropod category. Not all of the arthropod, maximum. You may say insect category. And here they have a system in their body which is known as tracheal system. There are tracheal system. Trachea is one that we have in the air pipe. But there is another trachea which is in these animals, which is on the skin. Like suppose this is a skin, there will be a pore on the skin, a little pore that is not easily visible. And then it will further be the trachea, which is known as trachea. Further, it will be having branches, tracheal branches. So oxygen take entry in from it, and CO2 take exit. But internally, exchange happen through the blood vessel only. So ultimately, these branches will be connected to a little balloon-like structure, you may say, which is known as air sac. Like in our body, we call it as alveoli. but that is not exactly alveoli, but it worked like alveoli. So these branches will be connected to the air sac, and nearby it blood vessel will be there. So oxygen will be taking entry and CO2 will be taking exit. This is tracheal. And this opening of the skin, this is known as spiracle. Now let's take a look at the diagram. This is a grasshopper. Very beautiful diagram and scary too. So this is thoracic spiracle. I'll tell you what is thoracic. This is spiracles present. It is taking further branches inside, and these all the bulb-like structure. These are the air sac. So this air sac, this is in contact with the blood vessels. Why did not they make the blood vessels? So there's a hell lot of blood vessels in contact with them. So here exchange happen in between them by diffusion. Clear? Now one thing that you have to remember, thoracic region means chest region. Abdomen is abdomen. There are 10 pairs of spiracle present, not 10, 10 pair. 2 pair are there in the thoracic and abdomen may, into the abdomen, there are total 8 abdominal spiracle. What a beautiful image. This is how respiration happen in grasshopper. We also call it as air tube, tracheal or air tube. Opening is on the skin, further it makes just branches inside. So guys, with this, we are done with respiration in animals. There are a few questions added, but there is still a basic question. That question can come in your paper, that if there is respiratory organ in any of the organism, what will be the basic property? I repeat myself, I should have explained you this topic even before starting the topic respiration in animals, but that's fine. Now I'm doing. Give me a second. I'll just add new slide. Thank God, chal gaya. Sometime na. My system is so fast, but I don't know what n number of things I open up my system and I just mess it up. I'm so lazy in updating these things. Okay, so there's a blank slide that you cannot see, of course. Let me share my screen. So now, if a question come in your paper, where you have to talk about the basic structure or important features of respiratory organ. What you will be writing first, they are highly vascular. Vascular. Guys, wherever you see the word vascular now, vascular means there are so many of the blood vessels nearby. Vascular means when there is a lot of conduction. Highly vascular means they are having so many of the blood vessels. Why blood vessel? Because fast exchange of gases can happen between CO2 and O2. Next is they have very thin wall. Why thin wall? So that easy diffusion of gases can happen, because gases only or always move by diffusion from high to low concentration. So thin walls for easy diffusion of gases. Now next one. Third one, let me think. Surface area. The surface area is always maximum. They tend to have the structure. They tend to have the structure that they can have maximum surface area, as in air sac, as in alveoli, as in gills making, coils and coils, these kind of thing. So that maximum air exchange can happen, or gaseous exchange, not air. You should use the word, but yeah. So this is clear now, guys. And one thing always remember, there is always a respiratory pigment in all the living creature. In human, respiratory pigment is hemoglobin. Hemocyanin, that is in the certain invertebrates. Like in us, that's hemoglobin. But in all the living creature, that is always a respiratory pigment which is present, which help in the carrying up of the oxygen. Oxygen cannot move just like that in the blood or in the plasma. It always need a molecule. That is known as respiratory pigment. So with this, guys, I suppose that's clear to you. I suppose nutrition in animals. nutrition in plants, and then respiration in animals and respiration in plant is clear. Now respiration in human being topic is left, that obviously we will be covering that up in the next part. And I'm not saying bye. There are a few questions. What is the function of digestive enzyme? Padh liya? Thank you. Actually, I've added one question, but in between the teaching itself, I cover so many things. That's why I tend to not to add. If you want me to add certain questions, okay, I'll add it. Not an issue. But you will find that in your books and everything. So with this, guys, now finally we are done with this part. We have discussed about, again, digestive glands, what they are secreting. Their beautiful diagram we have seen. We have started. We have learned respiration types, aerobic and anaerobic, and the detail of them, and for the uh, respiration in animals, in plants also. In animal also we have seen beautiful diagram. Now if you have any doubt, just put it on your batch discussion forum, put it on your discussion board and the Ask Expert on askIITian website, and I'm going to teach you further in the next part about respiration in human being and furthermore. So I'll see you there. Bye.